Hi, my name is Nicholas Karn, and this is my e-portfolio for FHSU State, and I'm getting my master's degree in building leadership. So I'm just going to quickly go through all this. I'll start with goals and about me. Real quick, I think that relationship building is a big part of my leadership. You'll see that in my philosophy layer. But I think one thing that you need to do as a leader is to put yourself out there, and that's what I do with my students and staff all the time. Show them that I have a life, show them I have a family, and that's the biggest part of my life with my family. I have a 7-month-old son named Maddox and a wife named Paige. I've got brothers, I got a mom, dad, all kinds of good family, dog, and a cat. I think that's a big part of building that relationship is putting yourself out there and showing people what you value. And then this is my education. Just the big thing here is this bachelor's degree from the University of Nebraska in education, and then working on my FHSU State master's, hopefully completing it soon. And then educational career, as far as I got Teach for America is where I started. Taught at Karn Middle School for 3 years. Taught social studies in Avid. Was also the AD there. That's where I got my taste for administrative duties. So that's really where I wanted to. That's where I got the interest to do this. And then I taught 2 years of social studies at Fountain Fort Carson High School. Got that high school experience I wanted, and also coached varsity football as the director of football operations and running backs and fullbacks and tight ends and JV head coach. So I did all kinds of stuff there. And now I'm the Avid coordinator and teacher at Sierra High School. So it was a good opportunity for me to kind of take on a coordinator position. And so that's why I chose that. And I'm still there today, and I'll be doing that next year. So professional goals real quick. And then if you want more details, you can click on this video over here. 1 to 5 years, I plan on being in an administrative role. Right now, I'm an Avid coordinator, and I'm going to be that next year. The year after that, I plan on looking at maybe a dean position, assistant principal position. Just depends what's open, but I don't want to leave the district, and I really don't want to leave the school. So it kind of depends on where I'm at that point. 6 to 10 years, I plan on hopefully being a principal. If not, assistant principal for sure. It just depends again, but I could also see myself being an elementary principal. I'll have to make sure that I have proper experience and proper training with all that, since that's not my field. And then beyond 10 years, hopefully being an effective principal. That's the big thing, and being a community leader. Personal goals really don't change much from 1 to 10 years. I just want to grow on them. So the big goals I have is just to be the best husband, father, and mentor I can be to my son, my wife, and to my community. And that's the big thing that I want to do. And then obviously, I just really want to balance my life, make sure that everybody is organized, make sure that I'm spending time with my family, and making sure that they feel that they're taken care of as well. I don't want to miss out on my son's life, and I've heard too many times from coaches and administrators that they've missed out on their kid's life because of that, and I don't want to make that mistake. And I think it's easy to fall into it. But yeah, beyond 10 years, just growing on that, just maintain a healthy lifestyle and make sure that I'm growing socially, emotionally, physically, and academically, and never stop learning. That's my goals. So there you go there. And then leadership philosophy. Let's check that out. So I'm not going to go through word for word, obviously. Just real quick, the 4 core leadership beliefs I have are honesty, communication, collaboration, and caring. And that leads me down here to our philosophy of education, my philosophy of education, and just culture building. And so that's a little short and sweet version of what I value in a culture of a school as well, which is making sure that everybody feels valued. And I think that's always important. And ownership. Everybody's got some ownership. Program of study, just real quick, showing you the classes that I took and the dates that I completed them. There you go. And then the resume here. 1 page, really short and sweet. Like to keep it precise. And so you can see I added FHSU State here. Hopefully that comes through. And then University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And then there's my work experience, skills. And then when I was in college, I did a Wix portfolio, which is a lot different than this. This one's way more precise and detailed. This one's just really, it's like a slideshow of all my students' accomplishments. So that's pretty cool if you want to check that out. I think that's the best part of my job, is seeing my students accomplish things versus myself. This is just real quick sources that I use throughout my leadership philosophy, throughout the portfolio. So if you want to dive into more depth with those, but a lot of them just revolve around community building and leadership. And then here's our district activities. So we're really going to go into these. Start with districts. So Anna was one of my Avid students who was selected as the school board representative, and so I was super proud of her for that. It was a long process, and I was in charge of leading it at our school, making sure kids got applications, selecting the right students. Some couldn't apply because of due to discipline issues or GPA issues. So we had about 25 students apply, and then one got it. And so that was my avid student, Anna. I wasn't involved in the interview process. I just kind of led the process of making sure everything stayed organized and being a liaison between the school board and our students. So that was a really cool activity for me and her. Also this summer, beginning of the summer, really early in the summer, we had an AVID training for the entire district, and we're going AVID elementary next year. So part of my job as the AVID site coordinator at the high school is to make sure that our elementary is supported. And that was one of my big things in this training, was to help the elementary and middle school principals and administration know what AVID's for and kind of how we do it at Sierra. Then we have, I'm in charge of summer school this year. We start next week, actually. So this is our budget. So I was in charge of advocating for a budget and organizing it, making sure that the summer school budget was in line, hiring staff, making sure that we had enough supplies, all that good stuff. And obviously, balancing a budget is a big part of being an administrator. This one was really cool. It actually started as a secondary level activity, but then it turned into district. So I wanted an AVID family night, reach out to our family, AVID family, and get them to our school. And the best way I've always learned is just feed them. And so we ended up having pizza, and it turned into a district activity when the district found out about it and said, hey, why don't you invite the middle schools too, and then we make it a district thing and we'll pay for it. And I said, sure. And so we organized all that. We had a middle school AVID scholars come from 4 different middle schools to our high school. And it was just a good chance to show them what our program's about and what we value, and also feed them and have some fun and build relationships, obviously. This one, discipline at the district level has always been interesting to me, and so I did this for a class, zero tolerance policy, analyze that issue and see if it works or not. Overall, it kind of showed to be ineffective. But there's good things and bad things to everything, but in my opinion, it was ineffective in most of our Colorado schools. And then finally here, we had a AVID and school board breakfast. And so I was in charge of this. The school board actually reached out to me again and said, we really like the process of the school board working with your students, and we want to hear more voices. So we had a breakfast, which was really kind of just a sit down, chance for them to ask questions, chance for the board to answer them, and then also to bring up any issues. So that was really cool for our AVID scholars to be leaders in their community and also their school. So total district hours were 33. It was probably more than that with all the phone calls and emails and talking to people, but that was the actual physically hours I was doing things with the district. So elementary is my least area of expertise, but it was awesome, and I have so many good things for next year that we're going to be taking over. So the big thing that the administration at the elementary level said I need to understand is read plans and also the STAR and DIBEL systems to improve overall reading and writing performance. Obviously, that's a huge deal, and it does affect us at the secondary level, so that was really interesting to learn about that. We also did observations, so I did observations of 3 different teachers, 1st, 4th, and 5th grade classrooms, and the engagement was high, the technology was great, and it was, each observation was about an hour. But I used our AVID evaluation system, and they did amazing. They did better in our AVID evaluation system than we do at our high school, so there's some things we can learn from them. That led us to the Sierra High School Outreach Program. So there's 2 pieces here. It's a mentorship program that I created for our AVID scholars to mentor an elementary student at one of these 3 schools. And then also the second part is to collaborate with elementary teachers and Sierra teachers and making sure that we're working together. There's a lot of disconnect between elementary and our high school. We need to fix that. And so that's what we're really trying to target with this program, is to make sure we're working together. A part of that was what we saw is that we actually had our elementary schools come to our Sierra High School for their musical and play. So we did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I worked with the theater teacher. We brought in 400 elementary students to come see this thing. And it's really just building those relationships again and just saying, this is a really cool thing for them, and to get them out of school and have fun, and to see the high school students be goofy, and a chance for our high school students to take on a different role as well. And then we had our IEP meetings, which obviously I can only share so much due to confidentiality, but we had 2 IEP meetings, and I sat in on both of them, and it's always interesting to see the principal's role in those and to make sure that the accommodations are being taken care of. And then finally, the principal, Ms. Godwin, and I from Wildflower Elementary talked about gender bathroom equality, and it was actually an assignment of mine. So it's an interesting issue because we don't think we see it at elementary, but they're starting to see it already. So there's 2 students that identify as gender neutral trans. So they're making sure that they have a gender neutral bathroom next year for those students. So it's an interesting thing popping up, an interesting issue that we have to address as administrators. And then total elementary hours there was 30. Could have been more. It's just that's, again, physical hours. This is the big chunk of it, obviously being a secondary coordinator and leader. So the big thing that we kind of said that we wanted to do is develop a vision and mission. So I work with this on my principal, and we're going to present this to our new staff over the summer, which also leads us to our school improvement plan. So the vision leads us to the school improvement plan, and there's different phases to that plan. But we wanted to make sure that we're aligning both to make sure that they work with each other. And so that was my responsibility recently. And then we also, throughout the year, I was on the building leadership team. We had to evaluate programs, and my program that I was assigned was the SSP program. I had to present that program to our building leadership team, and then we made a decision whether to keep it or not. We ended up not keeping it just because it wasn't serving our students the way we wanted to. One of my assignments throughout this master's program was to read other people's children, and I thought I would address one key issue was the cultural diversity issues that we face, and making sure that we address them and making sure that we're aware of them so we can be better servants to our students. But it was really interesting to learn about that. This is our Sierra Avid report. I presented this to the, so he's in charge, he's a Western Avid coordinator. So he's in charge of pretty much all the Western states, including California, Nevada. And so I presented this to him and showing him where we're at with Sierra Avid and making sure that we're meeting all the requirements, but also showing him some data as well. Went really well, actually. I was really happy about that. Avid Weekly tutorial. Avid Weekly is a resource for our teachers that they can use to encourage more reading, writing, critical thinking, organization, all kinds of good stuff. So I put that in Canvas. It took a while to organize, but I also, the big thing is just making the video at the end and showing them how to use it and how they can use it as effectively in the classroom as possible. Technological leadership habits. This is another assignment that I did for one of my courses. It was great. I really think it's a good starting point because I really want to improve technology in our schools as part of my key actions, but at the same time, these are habits that I would just like to see as a future principal. And then we had the Avid master schedule here. So we expanded Avid, and we're including 3 more teachers to teach it instead of me just doing it all. And we made sure that we had plans aligned because they're all different teachers and different things. And we also made sure the tutorial room was being used without overflow. And then we also had our site team. So my job was to lead the site team and make sure we met regularly. So this is one of our meeting notes as an example. Pretty much all these images you can click on and it'll take you to a document. So if you just do that, it'll show you more details. Then this is our tag group. This is really cool, the Air Force Gardens group. So they are all Avid, not Avid, they are all Sierra alum and they're all Air Force alum. So they come in once, twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month, depends on the month. And they work with our students to teach them 21st century skills and also professional skills. A lot of things that I teach in Avid, but they're way better at it. So it's also reaching out to the community, and they've helped me a lot with all that stuff. This is an internet safety presentation I did at Fountain Fort Carson High School, where I used to work during this master's program. So that's a big part of it. Technology as well as making sure that our kids are safe on the internet, and then we make sure that we're keeping certain things confidential. This is our BLT work, so our actual BLT meetings. We didn't just look at programs, we did a lot of other stuff as well, so there's a lot of things in there. And then also email from my principal showing us our duties as BLT members. And then finally, we decided to expand Avid, so this is the presentation I not only did for my school, but I actually recently did for the district. And this is this could be included in the district activities, but I ran out of time and room. So overall, secondary hours were 94 hours, 94.5 hours, so probably again more than that, but those were the actual physical hours, and it was, it's pretty much a daily thing for me as the Avid coordinator. It was just running things and taking over administrative duties, but these were the big highlights that I was probably just most proud of. And then reflection here just kind of goes over my program reflection. You can read that and learn, kind of see what I've learned throughout the whole process and what I learned from each class as well. And then finally, administrative verification. If you come down here, you can see all my principals signing off, everybody that was in charge of me, elementary, district, and secondary levels. So there's my e-portfolio. Thank you for your time, and please leave any feedback possible to help me improve. Thank you so much.